Hi again, class. Okay, we have discussed rebound for a couple days now. You've watched a couple videos of me talking about it and showing you my excitement of this verse novel and Kwame Alexander's magical writing through verse and how wonderful it is. And now it is your turn to take your own rebound, and let's talk about the final project and what I'm going to expect from you guys. So, what can be poetry? Looking at pages 60 and 61 of Rebound, I want you to write some thoughts down on how these pictures can tell us a story. So we have lots of different items in this book that show us what poetry can be. We have comics that are drawn in. Charlie's thoughts. He kind of will go off on a thought and pause for a minute, and then you turn the page, and it's these pictures that tell what's going on in his mind. His love of comic books crosses over into his thoughts, and we see that through the pages on these books and on Kwame Alexander's book, and how he includes comics along with his writing. I also want you to think about the way that some of the words in this book are different. A different font, the different sizes, they start smaller and get bigger. Why is this important? What is Kwame Alexander trying to tell us or trying to show us through changing the font size, through changing the way that the words appear on the page? Does he want us to talk differently, talk quieter, and get louder as we talk? Or when he's saying swoosh, the way he makes it bigger as he's running down the court? How does this help us connect to what Charlie's feeling while he's writing these? What are the messages that you get from this work? I want you to think about that for a minute as I discuss what the final project will be. So for the first part of the project, it will be in two parts, and you'll turn them in separately. You'll get a grade on each part that will come together for your final project. So for the first part of the project, I would like you to each find 3 different poems that fit your personality. So not poems from Rebound that we've just read. Any poems. You can find a poetry book in the library. You can use our class text that will have some poems in it. You can use any search on the internet to find some poems about your personality. They can be short poems, they can be long poems. Just something, find them that fit your personality, and print off that poem and write down a sentence or two. It doesn't have to be long, about why it fits your personality, so that I can see why you use this poem. So after you've found those 3 poems and you've written a sentence or two about them, then I want you to create one poem out of these 3 poems. So take these 3 poems and mash them together, make it your own, and then again write a sentence or two of why this final poem that you've created really fits your personality and describes to the class who you are. So that's part 1. Part 2 of this project is after you've created your unique poem, I'd like you to take a page from the book Rebound. Don't actually rip a page out, but find a page that you like and write a few paragraphs on why this page describes the part of Charlie's life that he's going through right then and how it fits his personality. So you've just created a poem for your own personality. Now I want you to explain how these the poems are the verse that this book is written in describes Charlie's life. So we get lots of the story of what he's going through, but then there's a few pages, his notes to CJ or thoughts about CJ, his discussion with his mom, and how these things really discuss his life, how it helps us see parts of his life. So, for example, taking page 133, the way it is written and help the reader get a feeling that CJ is starting to have for Charlie. So on page 133, we're at the roller skate rink, and again we have these words that the letters start small, they get bigger, they are in bold font, they're in a different font as CJ and Charlie are skating and they're performing for their family. And how does the way that this part is written show the reader that CJ is not just, she doesn't just love skating, but she's starting to love Charlie. She's starting to have feelings for him. And how does the way that it's written really show us that? So you can't use that example because I've just used that. I've just given you that one. But find a different page in the book. We see that, as I said, we see that it's not just skating that's important to CJ, but that Charlie is really important to her too. And just the way that those words pop off the page to us, the way that CJ talks when she talks to Charlie, and the way the font changes as she's talking to him, it really helps us see that. So what's a page from here that you feel really connects to Charlie? And then, so find the page. You can just write down the page number. You don't need to copy the full page. Write down the page number and then write a paragraph or two why it's a turning point in Charlie's life, or why it's important to him, why that memory is important to him, or that person is important to him. And in those paragraphs, I want you to give me specific examples from the text that back up your claims of why it's important to Charlie's life. So again, part 1, you're creating your own poem by finding 3 poems. And then part 2, you're talking about Charlie's life and finding a poem from the novel, so that we can connect these poems and see how feeling really comes out of them. When you're creating your own poem, you can type it out, have fun with it, make it different fonts, make it get bigger, make it get smaller, keep it all the same font, whatever describes you. I don't want you to feel like you have to do something crazy if that's not you. If you want to make the text bigger, make the text smaller, make it cursive, because that's you, then do that and explain to me why that's you. If you leave it all one font, all the same size, that's not, you will not lose points for that if you tell me why that's you. I just really want you guys to connect the way that Kwame Alexander tells us the story of Charlie's life. I want to get a little story of your life through poetry so that we can all see that poetry doesn't always have to be crazy and hard. So I hope that this project helps you find some joy in poetry. Doesn't all have to be confusing. As I talked about in one of my other lessons to you guys, some poetry is like a maze. We've got to wander through it before finding our way out or finding the theme. But it's meant to be a maze that directs us to a certain destination, not just wandering and finding ourselves somewhere crazy, but being able to get to a certain destination, find the theme in that poem, understand the feeling that the author, the poet, is trying to have us. We can all become writers of poetry. It will all look different. It will all sound different, but that's part of the fun of it. Again, if you need to go back, you can re-listen to the video lecture that Kwame Alexander has in this second video lecture, and how we can all become writers. Writing can be cool. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be all the same. That's what makes us each unique. That's what makes books great for us. If every novelist was the same, then it wouldn't be as exciting to read. So I love reading each and every one of your works, and I look forward to reading a poem that's a little bit about you and how we can turn that into a story of our lives, just as Kwame Alexander does for Charlie Bell. So again, thank you for reading Rebound with me and having these wonderful class discussions, and good luck on your final project. I can't wait to see what you all come up with.